Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to tic-tac-TBR, my monthly TBR game. So this is now the March edition. I started it in February, so all the rules are on the February video and I'll put them in the description below as well. But effectively I've got 9 squares on my grid. I'm going to have a wheel of TBR game that will pick my prompts to fill the grid, and then I'll have to pick 9 books from that. And the aim is for me to complete 3 in a row. So let's look back to February. I'm not going to do a full wrap up in this video, but this was my February TBR picks based on the prompts, and these are the books that I read in February that month. So as you can see, I did complete 3 in a row along the middle, which I'm very happy about. I'm glad that my first month was a success because it's never good to start off failing. So hopefully we can create a good March TBR as well and make it 2 for 2. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to get up my wheel and screen record it so you can see it as well, and let's pick our prompts and books for this month. So as you can see, I've got my spin the wheel up here. We're going to spin it 9 times to get 9 prompts and make 9 books out of that. So let us spin the first one. This is so exciting. I love this game. What's the wheel going to pick? Oldest book on your TBR. Oh gosh, okay. I've got a lot of old books on my TBR that need to get read. So let's go find what the oldest one is. So for my first prompt, the oldest book on my TBR, quite a savage one to start with if you ask me, because this particular book has been on my TBR for over 6 or 7 years. I remember buying this when I was back in school, and I'm now 4 years post uni. So a long time. I touched on this briefly in my every book on my physical TBR video. I basically thought the oldest book on my TBR was The Red Queen, which is not wrong, but I bought The Red Queen and The White Queen at the same time, and The White Queen is the second in the series. I haven't read the first, but hey, it makes sense to go with this one. This book has actually been hiding on my red bookshelf because it's been on my TBR for so long. I'm like, do you know what, I'm just going to pretend I've read it. But the tic-tac-TBR game has caught me out. So I'll be reading The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. It follows Elizabeth Woodville, who married Edward IV of York during the Battle of the Roses kind of era. She was the mother of the missing princess in the tower, so I am actually really intrigued to read this. And I knew it was going to come up at some point, that's why I put this prompt on the game. So hopefully I can actually get to this book, because I would actually like to get it off my TBR so I can stop feeling bad about it. Okay, spin number 2. What have we got? Ooh, a book with red on the cover. Okay, last month we had blue on the cover, this time we've got reds. I'm trying to think of some that instantly come to me. I can't think of any right now, but let's go have a look and find one with red on the cover. Okay, for red on the cover I have a Kindle book and actually a Kindle Unlimited book. I'm trying to incorporate as many Kindle Unlimited books as I can so that I have an excuse to keep paying for it because I'm really enjoying having Kindle Unlimited, but I want to make the most of it. So I have picked The Maid by Nina Prose. I have been really fascinated by this book since it came out. I think it was last year or the year before. Everyone on BookTube seemed to read it, and it got mixed reviews, but it does sound like something up my street, just a classic thriller, which I'm really excited to get to. Okay, last spin for the top row. We have got a contemporary. Nice. I think that's quite a good category. I can kind of pick what I want within that, as long as it's not historical. So that's good. I'm excited to read a contemporary book. So I have chosen another Kindle Unlimited book. I'm really trying to get my money's worth out of it. I have chosen Terms and Conditions, which is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaires series by Lauren Asher. I read the first one a couple of months ago and it was pretty good, quite an easy romance. So I thought I'd like to have another romance on my TBR this month because I just find them really easy and fun to read, and they break up the heavier books. Let's do the next row. So, fourth book is going to be, oh no, this is a new prompt I added literally 5 minutes ago. I spelled it wrong. The lowest rated book on my TBR. Oh gosh, we're gonna have to go to Goodreads. Okay, so lowest rated book on my TBR. I really feel like the TBR wheel game has not been kind to me with the prompts it's given me this time around, but hey, that's part of the game. So I had to go to Goodreads again for this one to look at what the lowest rated book on my TBR was, and I was actually really surprised by it. So it was Adults by Emma Jane Unsworth with a rating of 3.29 stars. So I still don't think that's an awful rating. I'm not really familiar with the Goodreads average rating. I never really look at the ratings of a book when I add it to my TBR. I just kind of look at the reviews of the people I follow and things like that, but not necessarily the overall average rating. And I've been wanting to get to this one. I was hoping I could squeeze it into my TBR in some way. I didn't expect it to be the lowest rated book on my TBR, but here we are. It's a book just about, I think it's like in your 30s, you're unemployed, emotionally unfilled, her friends are fed up with her. Yeah, I don't know. I think it will be very interesting to read, and I'm intrigued to see why it's got such a low rating. But yeah, I love the end papers on this one. Oh, it's gorgeous. Okay, time for the middle square. This, I would say, is probably one of the most important boxes to complete on the grid, because I think it is the most important in a game of tic-tac-toe, so fingers crossed for a good pick. What have we got? Okay, a 2-word title, a book with 2 words in the title. So the middle category, the middle square on the grid, the most important book. I had to think about this one carefully, but I've decided to go for 50/50 by Steve Kavanagh as my 2-word title book. I love Steve Kavanagh's writing. This is a pretty safe pick for me. It's the next one in his Eddie Flynn series. I'm not sure how many there are left, but not too many, I don't think. So I'm excited to kind of make some progress in this series, sorry. This is about 2 sisters on trial for murder who are accusing each other. Yeah, I just love his writing. He kind of does like really good courtroom drama scenes. And Eddie Flynn, the main character, is a lawyer, and he's just really fascinating. They're always such clever books. They leave me just amazed at how anyone can come up with these plots. So yeah, really, really excited to get to this one, and I think I will be prioritising this one for sure. Let's spin the wheel again for book number 6. An author you know and love. I love this category because it just means I can get through a backlist of authors I love. I always seem to put these books off, so yes, an author you know and love. What a great one. So for an author I know and love, I have picked Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I've given all of Ali Hazelwood's adult books, other than Bride, I haven't read that one yet, 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars, as far as I'm aware. I've really enjoyed them. I'm really intrigued to see how I find her YA novel. Since she came out with it, I've been really intrigued by it, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one this month. Okay, time for the last 3. What are we gonna get? Oh, a short book. A book under 300 pages. Okay, I've got one that springs to mind instantly, but we'll have a look at the TBR and decide. Okay, so for the last row, the first prompt was a book with less than 300 pages. I could not find many books that had less than 300 pages on my TBR. I don't tend to pick up short stories too often. I didn't really look at my Kindle though, to be fair. There's probably a few on there. But I chose The Vegetarian by Han Calm. This, again, I don't know much about. It's meant to be, I think it's a horror-esque book. This is a darkly beautiful modern classic. One of the most extraordinary books you will ever read. I'm intrigued. I feel like it's so short you kind of don't want to know too much going into it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one and getting it off my TBR. Again, it's been on there for a fair amount of time, and it's so short. Hopefully I can get through it quickly. Down to the final 2. What's the next one going to be? Let's spin. Oh, the same. Okay, we'll spin that one again. final two. Let's go. Oh my goodness, I just keep getting the same prompts. Maybe I should be removing them as I go. What are the chances of that? A cover you love. Oh, okay. I am very bad for picking a book based on the cover. If it's got a nice cover, I'm instantly drawn in. So I'm sure I've got a lot of these. This is a controversial one. So for a cover that I love, I have so many covers on my TBR that I enjoy, really like. I pick up a lot of books because I like the covers, especially my physical books. If I don't like the cover, I will get it on Kindle. But for this one, I've picked a slightly controversial one. I've picked The Story of the Lost Child by Elena Ferrante. I really like these editions of this series, and that is probably one of the most controversial opinions I think there is. Everyone I have heard talk about this series hates these covers. They much prefer the newer versions. But I don't know, there's something about how it looks on the shelf, they look really smart all together. I really like this cover. This is the fourth book in this quartet series, so I will be completing a series if I get to this one. The first book was My Brilliant Friend. I really like this series. It's very different to anything else I've ever read. And I think if I leave it any longer, I'm going to kind of forget what's happened in the previous books. There's such a big cast of characters. There's literally like 5 pages in fact, of like character lists. So it's one that I kind of want to get to sooner rather than later before I completely forget everything that's ever happened. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting to this one and completing another series. And the final prompt, oh, I hope we get a good one. A one-word title. I feel like we've had such similar prompts this time round. I feel like the wheel has not been randomised. Okay, for my final prompt, a one-word title. I actually, again, really struggled with this one. I don't have too many one-word titles. I've picked kind of rogue one for me. I've picked Colleen Hoover's Verity. Now, I am not a Colleen Hoover girly. I have read a couple of her books and they were fine. But my sister bought me this one for Christmas last year. So I really need to get to it because I just feel really bad that I haven't yet, and it was a gift. And I am really intrigued to see what this one's about because this one sounds a bit different to her usual romances. And it has got one word in the title. So we shall see. I think if I don't get to it now, I don't know when I ever will. So yeah, it's not too long. Hopefully I can just whiz through it and at least I can say I've read it. This is my final stack of books plus the 3 Kindle ones. What a random mix of books, that's all I can say. This is the most eclectic mix, I would say, of books I could have picked. Like I say, a lot of them are quite old and been on my TBR for a long time, so I'm looking forward to hopefully getting through some of them so I can make some space for some fresher new books that I'm excited to read on my TBR, because I do feel like, particularly my physical TBR, it's getting a bit old and not very exciting, if I'm honest. So yeah, hopefully I can get some of these. Of course, I've also got my 3 Kindle books. I'll put the grid up here. Let me put these down. So the grid for my prompts and the order in which I have to read these books to complete the grid is up here. So fingers crossed I can read 3 in a row in some capacity and win my game. I had such a good reading month doing this game in February, so I really hope I can carry that on to March. I really do put it down to this TBR game and being excited to read these books. This TBR game has kind of made me consider books that I never would have picked up. For example, The White Queen, which has been on my TBR for probably like 10 years. I'm never going to pick that up unless it was in a game like this. So I am actually really excited for this TBR, as mixed and random as it may seem. But yeah, so stay tuned for my next video where we will see how I do on this TBR. But yes, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!